This is going to be a versus between Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker at the time of Return of the Jedi. We will compare their lightsaber skill in lightsaber combat and Force abilities. Kylo Ren, birth named Ben Solo, was the son of rebel heroes Leia Organa and Han Solo. He was trained as a Jedi apprentice by his uncle Luke Skywalker. However, Ben was drawn to the dark side and became obsessed with fulfilling the legacy of his grandfather, Darth Vader. Believing himself too weak to live up to his grandfather as a Jedi, Ben was lured to the dark side, significantly influenced by a mysterious Force user named Snoke. Taking the name Kylo Ren, Ben left his uncle's new Jedi Order behind and killed all of his fellow apprentices, leaving Luke as the only known Jedi survivor. Kylo Ren would go on to become the master of the Knights of Ren and commander of the First Order. Eager to finish Darth Vader's quest to destroy the Jedi Order, Kylo used his position as a commander in the First Order to find a map to Luke Skywalker's location, but was stopped by the Resistance. Near the end of the conflict, Kylo would kill his father, Han Solo, and would be defeated and injured by Rey in a lightsaber fight. Afterwards, he was sent to Snoke to complete his training. Luke Skywalker was the son of the fallen Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker and Senator Padme Amidala. He was hidden from his father, now named Darth Vader, and was raised by his father's stepbrother Owen Lars and his wife Beru on the planet Tatooine. Luke spent his youth on the Lars' moisture farm, where his uncle unsuccessfully tried to discourage his adventurous tendencies. When Luke was 19, Lars purchased two droids, R2-D2 and C-3PO. Luke would go on to discover that these droids were a part of the rebellion and had a message for an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Rescuing Luke from the Sand People, Obi-Wan would tell Luke of his true origins and what happened to his father. After his step-parents were murdered, Luke joined the rebellion and destroyed the first Death Star in the Battle of Yavin. As part of the rebellion, Luke was assigned multiple missions and took part in many battles. After the Battle of Hoth, he was led to Dagobah, where he would meet and be trained by Yoda. A year later, during the Battle of Endor, Luke would confront and defeat Darth Vader, but would end up being tortured by Emperor Palpatine after he refused to kill Darth Vader and join the dark side. Seeing his son being tortured, Darth Vader sacrificed himself to kill the Emperor and saved his son. Luke attempted to save his father, now the returned Anakin Skywalker, but would fail. First, we will compare lightsabers. Kylo Ren's lightsaber was crudely assembled based on an ancient design dating back to thousands of years before the events of The Force Awakens, and thus featured rarely seen crossguard blades. Kylo Ren used the advantage of the crossguard blades by cutting into the opponent during a lightsaber lock, as was seen in his duel with Finn. A single cracked red kyber crystal, barely able to contain the weapon's power, constrained the lateral vents which produced these crossguard quillons, and gave the weapon's red plasma blades an unstable, serrated appearance. The lightsaber was destroyed during Kylo's fight with Rey after she cut it in half. Built to replace his father's lightsaber, Luke Skywalker's own lightsaber contained a green kyber crystal, which emitted a green plasma blade. Despite having little knowledge of constructing a lightsaber, Luke reached out with his mind and found the right pieces. He made use of the Force to put together all the pieces and brought the crystal inside to life. When he was finished, he felt it was truly his lightsaber, almost an extension of himself. Its design was based on Obi-Wan's third lightsaber, but simplified a few of the design elements. For the lightsabers, we will give Kylo the point. Although Luke's lightsaber doesn't have any disadvantages, it doesn't really have any real advantages either, while Kylo's lightsaber brings up a few advantages. First, the crossblades can be very deadly when Kylo is in a lightsaber lock with his opponent, being able to cut into the person with the crossblades. The opponent has no real way of defending themselves, other than trying to unlock their lightsaber. The crossblades also give protection to Kylo, giving him limited protection over his hands from a possible Cho Mei, the act of cutting off an opponent's hand. Despite Kylo's lightsaber being crudely built and having a distorted blade, it never showed that being a real advantage when he fought Finn and Rey, going up as well as a regular lightsaber would. Second, we will compare their skill in lightsaber combat. Kylo Ren was trained by Luke Skywalker in both the Force and possibly lightsaber combat. It isn't exactly known if there was any lightsaber training in Luke's Jedi Academy. It could have just been focused on using and controlling the Force. After he fell to the dark side and joined the Knights of Ren, he would attack Luke's Jedi Academy, killing all other Jedi apprentices using his lightsaber. He was also able to deflect blaster bolts with his lightsaber with ease, so he definitely had some sort of lightsaber training either from Luke, the Knights of Ren, Snoke, or all three. Though despite having trained to a degree, his skill with the lightsaber was somewhat lacking, as he was beaten by an untrained Rey in lightsaber combat. However, this could have been due to the fact that he had been injured by Chewbacca and Finn prior to their fight. Though he received little formal training, Luke Skywalker was a gifted duelist and became a skilled Jedi in lightsaber combat. Luke's initial training with a lightsaber was a brief session with Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Millennium Falcon, where he learned the initial position and the 4 defensive postures. Over the years, with constant training, he was so skilled in the lightsaber combat that he was able to defeat Darth Vader, one of the most experienced lightsaber duelists in the galaxy. Luke had some skill in Form 5, being able to intercept blaster fire. During his mission to Rhodia, he tried his hand at Jar Kai, the method of using 2 lightsabers in combat, but felt his achievements with Jar Kai were more out of luck rather than skill. For skill in lightsaber combat, we'll give the point to Luke. By the time of Return of the Jedi, Luke's skill with a lightsaber was that of a top-tier Jedi Knight. An enraged Luke was able to defeat Darth Vader, who was one of the most experienced and deadliest duelists in the galaxy. In a lightsaber duel, Luke would easily be able to overwhelm Kylo. Kylo just does not have the same amount of training and skill as Luke when it comes to lightsaber combat. Last, we will compare Force abilities. Due to being related to the Skywalker bloodline, Kylo Ren possessed a powerful connection to the Force. He was skilled in the use of telekinesis, able to use it to immobilize people in place, stop blaster bolts in midair, and send people flying with a Force push. Kylo Ren was also able to telepathically torture individuals to use the power of a mind probe to telepathically extract information from his victims. He also was able to sense disturbances in the Force, sensing the awakening of the Force and the presence of his father, Han Solo, in the Starkiller base. Snoke believed that Ren was an ideal embodiment of the Force, a focal point both between the dark and the light side. Like his father, the Chosen One, Luke possessed a very strong connection to the Force and had the potential to become an extremely powerful Force user, so much so that Emperor Palpatine believed that Luke was strong enough in the Force to destroy the Sith. Although he was trained by 2 expert Force users, Obi-Wan and Yoda, their deaths forced Luke to teach himself in the Force for the most part. After learning the basics of the Force, he quickly learned how to sense through it, and made a habit of opening himself up to the Force in hopes of learning more than Kenobi had told him. He had the abilities to sense the presence of his father and have Force visions. He was able to levitate multiple objects at once, use Force choke, and perform mind tricks. He was also able to enhance himself with the Force, being able to perform Force-enhanced jumps. When it comes to Force abilities, it is not clear who gets the point. Kylo possessed Force abilities that Luke definitely did not know, like being able to stop a blaster bolt in midair and freeze people in place. The Force abilities that Luke did know, like the Force choke and being able to levitate objects, Kylo most definitely did know too, as they were lower level Force abilities. The only advantage that Luke has is that he has a stronger connection to the Force and a greater potential to become immensely powerful, while Kylo is just more trained when it comes to aggressive Force abilities, which in a fight are the ones that really matter. Because Kylo has more aggressive and unique Force abilities than Luke, the point goes to Kylo. Now for the verdict. Although Kylo got a point for his Force abilities category, his direct offensive Force abilities wouldn't really matter in this fight, as Kylo isn't a complete tier above Luke when it comes to Force abilities, meaning that Luke's passive Force barrier wouldn't allow Kylo to kill Luke with his Force abilities alone, and the same goes for Luke. A passive Force barrier is a defense that is automatically on all Force users, which is why you don't see a Jedi or Sith that are on equal footing try to kill or subdue each other with a single Force choke. If there was no such thing as a passive Force barrier, then it would be more of a debate of who could react quicker, Luke or Kylo. Would Luke be able to Force choke Kylo to death before Kylo could freeze Luke in his place and stab him with a lightsaber? Though of course, this only applies to direct offensive Force abilities, so using the Force to throw objects at each other would still work. But in a battle like this, Luke would be right up in Kylo's face with his lightsaber, not giving Kylo the time or the distance to really use any of his Force abilities. In such a way, Luke heavily outmatches Kylo in lightsaber combat, and would be able to defeat Kylo by overwhelming him with sheer force. The fight would look a bit like Kylo's fight with Finn, with Luke being Kylo and Kylo being Finn. Luke would have the upper hand for the most part of the fight and would eventually overwhelm Kylo. The winner of this versus is Luke Skywalker at the time of Return of the Jedi. Remember that this is all my opinion based on the information provided. Let me know if you guys agree with this verdict or disagree, and tell us why. Also let us know what other verses you guys want to see in the future. We do verses between characters, vehicles, and organizations, and we also accept verses for both Star Wars canon and Star Wars Legends. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, may the Force be with you.